Hello, lovely people. It's Nicola back in the Stitches and Slapdashery sewing room. I am so looking forward to the weather getting cold. We went out for a walk this morning, and even though the constant smoke in the sky of the last few days has meant it's been probably a maximum of 25 instead of the forecast 30, it's still uncomfortably warm for me. Yeah, we went for a walk this morning at 9 o'clock and I just got so overheated. I just wanted to be cold so I don't feel like I'm constantly sitting in a sauna. But that's just me, I suppose. So the inside of my brain and the outside in the sewing room is kind of matching up right now. It's all a little bit cluttered and chaotic. Oh God, this weekend is going to be pretty busy with work shifts and picking up donations for the festival that's coming up soon. And my sewing room has 50 baskets ready for the silent auction, which I did manage to put away neatly and tuck away as well as I could. And at least I'm not falling over them now. But there's a couple of bags over here which have supplies and cloths for filling the baskets, and my living room upstairs has donations piling up. My sewing table still has a serger on it. I still need to serge a bunch of cloths for basket fillers from the sheets I bought at the thrift shop last week. A friend of mine, very lovely friend of mine, came over for tea on Friday morning, along with a couple of other friends, brought me 2 big bags full of fabric. I went through it and I did weed out a little bit of what I didn't want to keep, but there's a lot of what I did want to keep. So now I have some more quilt cotton scraps and I have some knit remnants, like jersey fabric and things like that, and some woven fabric yardage, which she was getting rid of. I really need to find a home for those because currently the bags are just sitting on the floor. Getting a little nutso. I still haven't got quite as far as weaving the ends in on the Starburst Sweater, but the comments on last week's vlog have convinced me to keep it like this. Although Joan did say that flower cardigans are really in style right now. She even emailed me some of the photos of the cardigans that are trending in the stores in the UK right now. Big splashy flowers on a plain cardigan. And I thought maybe I should just rip all this out and surface crochet some flowers instead. But no, I think I will be leaving it like this, but I do have a billion ends to weave in still, which I will probably do soon so that I can show you a completely finished product, hopefully in this video. I've been playing quite hard on the slow stitching project. I'm not finding this as enjoyable as my previous ones. I think with the scraps, I really enjoyed doing the scrappy ones, and I really enjoyed doing that little linen bag, which was just a whole cloth slow stitch embroidery project. Get your words out, Nicola. This is a batik that was quite a fussy pattern anyway, and I've been putting lots of stitching on it, but I feel like it's not quite as fun as the other ones were. I think after this I will be going back to either a plain fabric for the whole cloth or a super scrappy fabric for the next thing, whatever that might be. But I do like these little flowers here. Hopefully you can see there's some lovely little flowers here. What did I do? I did a little bit of this feathery stitch. I did a little bit of this Cretan stitch because I saw K3N Cloth Tails doing that, and I thought, oh, I'll try that out. In some of the places I have been using the snowflakes as a base for the embroidery. There's a lot of running stitch on here. I did a little bit of blanket stitch. The lines might still show, but I did a little bit of blanket stitch using a friction pen circle as a guide with some French knots inside. I did a few of these and I rather like those. Here's another of my little snowflakes, which is nice. Oh, and I taught myself how to do the wheat ear stitch with a quick video from YouTube. There's lots of little crosses and stars, and there's some more flowers. Hopefully you can see those. They're kind of green on a fussy background. There's a nice red one of those. I did a couple of leaves. Like this is the leaf I did first. And then I did this one. What I originally did with this one, I did the fishbone stitch, and it was very intense turquoise, and it was very solid, and it just didn't fit with everything else. So I ended up taking out the fishbone stitches and just redoing some stem stitch and French knots in the middle. So, and there's like an eye shape or a leaf shape in the blanket stitch and French knots. Hopefully you can see that. So that's what it's looking like so far. It's nowhere near finished. I think I have maybe one quadrant finished, because I started by doing diagonal running stitches that way and then that way. I feel like I'm filling in the quadrants now. So this area here is filled with stitching, but there's still some areas here and here and here which still need finishing. It's a nice way to end the day. I had a full day. We had a full day. Mr. Stitches and I went out yesterday, and we went down south for one of our favourite farmers markets, although we don't get to it that often each summer. And we stopped at a couple of places on the way down, and we stopped at a couple of places on the way back, and we had a swim. It was lovely because the water was cool enough to be refreshing. And when you got out, you didn't absolutely cook because of the smoke, creating quite a screen between the sun and your skin, you know. So we'll just talk about books, and then we'll talk about the winner of the giveaway. I finished this book this week. It's called The 5-Star Weekend. It's by Ellen Hildebrand. This is one of those beach reads. I would call it a beach read. It's quite interesting. It's about a woman who's a very famous food blogger. And from the outside, everyone thinks she has the perfect life. And then her husband unexpectedly dies. And she organizes herself a 5-star weekend. She had got the idea from somebody else on social media. And they had picked the best friend from each of the decades of their life, and invited them all to a weekend together. And so this is how it's all about relationships. It's all about the relationships between this main character and her friends, and how the friends interact with each other. And I won't tell you too much about the friend from the most recent decade, but she picked someone from her blogger fans who she had communicated with in quite a lot of depth as her friend from this decade. And she did agree to come to the 5-star weekend. It's set on Nantucket in Massachusetts. I know nothing about the geography of a lot of the United States, so I did actually Google where Nantucket is. They mentioned about it being a small island. I think they said it was like 4 miles by 13, and I thought, oh, It's not much different from the island where I grew up, probably about the same size. So I had a look where it was, and I found out that Cape Cod was part of the this arm that comes out from the east coast of the US, and that Nantucket is this island just south of that, and Martha's Vineyard is an island. Now, I've heard Martha's Vineyard mentioned by lots of American actors over the years. Now I actually know where it is, and that it's an island, not just a random place attached to the mainland or part of the mainland. Yes, Nantucket sounds like a very, very upscale island where you need a lot of money to live. Sounds like that to me anyway. They obviously get a lot of tourists in the summer. And the people who live there, I suspect that there aren't that many people who live there year round, but a lot of the houses are owned by people who just go there for the summer. It's their second home. But what do I know? Anyway, yeah, good beach read. Quite in depth, quite well written. A lot of flashing back to the past and then coming back to the present. Yeah, not bad. One of the places we stopped yesterday was a library. We're such boring people, aren't we? This is our idea of a good day out. Go to a farmer's market, go for a swim, go to the library. But there's one of the libraries. So in the area where I live, it's a very large valley, and the library system encompasses the valley plus points beyond, and it's all one library system. So you can go onto their website and you can put a book on hold from a town like 2 hours drive away, and they'll bring it into your local branch for you and you can pick it up. It's a great system. I love it. So we were heading down to this farmer's market and stopped at this library. And we know that this particular little town has a really good library with magazines and books that ours rarely gets in. And guess what? They had Uppercase magazine. Why doesn't my library have this? Why don't all the libraries have this? For goodness sakes. It's an awesome publication. So this is the one, if you were watching last time, this is the one you will know I just subscribed to. So I managed to find 6 of them. And they're quite recent as well. They're in the last year or two. So I got issue 62 and 61 and 65. I've mixed them up now. I had them all in numerical order. OCD? Not me. 63, 64, and 60. And I know I've had at least a couple of them out of the library before, but I'm pretty sure there's a couple there I haven't seen before. So I'm really looking forward to spending some time browsing through those. Just sad I don't own them. But hey, from now on, I will be getting them arriving every 3 months in my own mailbox, which is very fun. The other things I found, okay, there was a crochet book which turned out to not be very exciting, and a quilt book which also turned out to be not very exciting. But I did find 3 Kay Fassett books. I actually own one of his quilt books, thanks to my mum-in-law who bought me it years and years and years ago. That was probably the nicest gift she ever got me. What a great idea. She knew I was into quilting at the time. So I found Quilts in Burano. Burano? Is that how you say it? And what's lovely about this is, if you don't know Kay Fassett, you've obviously been living under a rock for the last 30 years or so. But this little island in Italy has beautifully painted houses. And so Kay Fassett went there with his partner. What's his name again? It'll come to me in a minute. Hang on a minute. And I know his name because Kate at the Last Homely House talks about him all the time. She actually is friends with these guys. I'm having a brain fart moment right now. Brandon Mabley. So, excuse me, far too hot. So Kate and Brandon are Free Spirit Fabrics. And Kate has just the most amazing sense of colour. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful quilts in beautiful, beautiful surroundings. So they obviously found like the perfect houses to go with the quilts that they took there to photograph. Hang on a minute, find a good one. I mean, this is just an example of the wacky colours against a beautifully painted house. Isn't that gorgeous? So just for inspiration, that is amazing. Plus, one of the quilts, I think it might be in this book, Cool Kooky Creatures is making one of the quilts in one of these books here. It's called Losing Your Marbles or Losing My Marbles. And it's just a fairly straightforward quilt, just of lots of squares, but in some of the squares you applique a circle, a contrasting circle, and it's so beautiful. So now we've got Bold Blooms by Kaif as well. And this isn't just quilts, it's also some of his needlepoint and other things that he's made with the flower theme. I mean, it's insane the colours and fabrics he puts together that he has designed himself. Absolutely incredible. And then Quilts in Italy is the other book I found. I think maybe the Marbles quilt is in here. Yes, the Losing My Marbles quilt. Isn't that lovely? They've done like a colour wash effect with the squares behind, and then they've added the applique circles on top. And I do have those lovely, where did I put them? Oh, they're up there. I don't know if you can see them. Can you see those? Two beautiful fat quarters of Kaif's fabric, which I could possibly make a smaller version of that with. I'm not sure I want to make any more bed-size quilts, but wouldn't that be lovely just to have like maybe a miniature version just for a wall hanging maybe? It's the time you've all been waiting for, the draw for the giveaway. So here's the bag that I am giving away that I made in a previous vlog. We're past the 2-week deadline. So I put everyone's name. What I did was I wrote everyone's name out just in a numbered list. And then I went to Google and I said, random number picker. And I found this thing called a random number picker wheel. And you put down your numbers 1 through 17, and then you click the little thing and it does this little spinning thing, like a virtual spinning thing. And it picked number 13. So number 13 was lucky today. And the person who was number 13 is Pretty Studio, Priti Studio. I'll put your name at the bottom of the screen. So if you can get in touch with me, email me at stitchesandslapdashery@gmail.com and let me know your name and address. I can get this mailed to you. Congratulations. There's a couple of other little things in there, which I'll leave as a surprise. And I'll get this mailed. So it's Sunday today. I do have a lunch date today with my ex-co-workers from Fabricland. And I also have a staff meeting to go to this evening. But I'm hoping that even though it's a busy-ish day and a busy week, that I'll be able to get started on my new page shawl. Where did I put the yarn for that? Here. I put the yarn in my Yarndale bag from pre-COVID days. I went to Yarndale one year, part of a UK trip, and I said to my husband, I need to go to Yarndale at least once in my life. So last time I was showing you the new page shawl yarn choices I had made at Michael's. So, oh yeah, there were 5, that's right, there were 5 of the contrast yarns. And I looked again at the pattern download. It's a paid download and it's on my phone, and I don't need to print it out. It's a really simple pattern. So you're basically just doing like 2 rows of the white, 2 rows of your contrast, 2 rows of the white, 2 rows of another contrast, and just increasing on one side all the way up. And I also found a pattern for a crocheted bead, because the Ravelry pattern page for the shawl has the edge, has beads attached, crocheted beads along the edge. And so I looked, and there were only maybe 3 options on Ravelry that I could find for a crocheted bead. I could probably have figured out how to make a sphere in crochet. I'm sure it wouldn't have been exactly hard. But I will link also to that bead tutorial if you want to have a look at it. It's now Thursday. It's been a bit of a week, what with work and festival pickups and other things that I've had to do. It's a bit noisy outside. There's a truck out there and there's reversing bleepers and all sorts because we currently are having a power outage, a scheduled power outage or power cut. So that means that I can't use my ring light. So I'm sitting at the dining room table near the window, although it still looks kind of dull here. But anyway, yes, I made sure I got my laundry done already this morning before they turned off the electricity. So excuse any noise in the background from the open window over there. Whew, yeah, just trying to carve out a little bit of time to record something because I don't have to be at work till 2 today, and I probably only need to do one pickup. So I think that's okay. So the sweater is officially done. Oh, hang on, I'm trying to push the seat back. There we go. I'm not going to put it on because, as you know, I think my camera is really rocky. Not rocky, but crooked. Oh, well, if I'm crooked, sorry about that. As you know, I am enjoying some personal tropical moments these days, and I do not want to put a thick sweater on when I'm already plenty warm enough. So I will stand back and I will show it to you. Ta-da! That was nearly 100 ends to weave in from the colour work alone. There goes the reversing bleeper again. So there we go. It's not brilliantly done, but I don't like to cut my ends too short when I weave things in, so I just sort of wove it in and then cut it with a bit of a tail on the ends there. And the center, I wove it from this end down. So there's quite a bit of mess on the back, but nobody will see that. Except for you guys right now. Once I'm wearing it, it'll be fine. Oh yes, I also put some strengthening chain stitching around the neckline just at the bottom of the ribbing there. I thought about doing it from the inside, and then I thought, no, I'll make a feature of it. It's easier to see where the stitches are to work into rather than doing it on the purl side. So I'm pleased that that is completely finished now. Wow, so much noise. It sounds like there's multiple vehicles out there. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing with the power today, if they're replacing cables or what. At least all of our power cables are above ground. They all go on poles along. I guess because in Canada things can get so darned cold that if they needed to do any work on power lines in the middle of winter, they wouldn't have to dig up frozen ground. I'm thinking that's the reasoning behind it anyway. I still look crooked. I don't know if I'm going to get this straight today. Well, never mind. I finally got started on the new page shawl. So I sat here and just did the first 11 rows, just so I had something to show you on that. Let's see, 3, 5, 7, 9, 12 rows. A little comment about the Colourcraft. I don't find the Colourcraft yarn to be quite as nice to work with. It's not as soft as the loops and threads Impeccable. It's a bit more sturdy, shall we say. It's a bit like a Red Heart Super Saver, I guess I would call it. So if you know what that's like, that's what it feels like. I decided to use a 5.5mm hook because even though the yarn balls recommend 5mm, it's a shawl and I wanted it to have some drape, and I'm really glad I did go for the 5mm because it's feeling quite, not stiff, but firm right now. And so I'm hoping that when it's finished and I toss it in the washer and the dryer, it'll soften up beautifully. So here's the progress so far. A tiny little triangle. So all you do with this, I did print just the second page of the pattern. I did not need a fancy coloured picture on page 1. I did not need the colour sequence on page 4 because I'm doing my own colours. So all I did a black and white printout. Seeing as it's a page pattern, I'll cover up the words there. So there's the picture of it in black and white. And it's a very simple 4-row repeat. Now that I've got started on it, it's a 4-row repeat. And until I get into it, I am following the words on the pattern. Now, the spike stitch takes a bit of getting used to, because at first I wasn't sure where to work in. But my theory on this is that as long as you're consistent, anything you do will be fine. I do think that this one probably is a little wonky, and I probably should have made it more vertical. I may have put that into the wrong place. And when she says do the spike stitch into 2 rows below, I squinted at the photograph trying to figure out exactly what she meant by 2 rows below. So all I'm doing, you can see, is I'm jumping over the stitch in the row below what I'm working, and then I'm going into the stitches on this row below that. And I'm leaving, so rather than go all the way into the gap between stitches, I'm leaving a little strand of yarn below my spike stitch. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? So yes, there's going to be a lot of ends because each time you change color, you're going to end up with 2 tails to weave in from the contrast colors. But the white, I'm carrying up the side, obviously, because it's only 2 rows. So I can carry up the white. So because I am using a thicker yarn and a bigger hook than she says in the pattern, I'm thinking this will grow quite quickly. And I won't need as many rows as she used to make a decent sized shawl. I could just go until I've used up lots and lots of these colors, but I know from past experience that if you just keep going and make a really, really big shawl, it ends up being really, really unwieldy and unpractical. I made one once. I can picture myself modeling it on my deck out there to get my finished object picture for Ravelry. And when I wrapped it round, it went like down to my calves. So that was a bit too big. It's all right for a snuggly couch shawl, but you wouldn't wear that out and about because it would just catch on everything. I think so anyway. I prefer a shawl that you can wrap around your neck and shoulders maybe, but maybe also have a coat over it or whatever. Oh, so yes, what's happening? Thursday, today. Work this afternoon. I'm hoping to get this last bit of footage edited so that I can publish this video for you, because I think it's been a week since the last video. Tomorrow I have a day off, but I do have to do a couple of last-minute pickups. Saturday I've got a crowd of people coming here to build gift baskets and goodie bags for the following weekend. So I'm planning to make chili and get a bunch of tortilla chips and maybe even buy some guacamole. I never usually buy guacamole, but the chance of getting avocados at the perfect state of ripeness at the last minute is like 1%, right? So I think I will just, when I do my superstore shopping tomorrow, I'm just going to buy ready-made stuff for a change. Chili's easy. It's just a case of dumping a bunch of stuff in a pot and heating it up. But yeah, and salsa, of course. So I'll get some salsa. I really like the one that President's Choice does. That's got black beans and sweet corn in it. And it's not too spicy. I'm not one for a huge amount of spice myself. A little bit is fine, but too much. And like, oh, no. I always remember the time when my mum made a chili. It was the only time she ever made it. She wasn't a very inventive cook, I think mostly because my dad was not a very adventurous eater. And it wasn't that Mum didn't want to be more inventive with her cooking, it was that Dad wouldn't have wanted to eat it. But she made chili, and she probably just followed a recipe that said X amount of chili powder without knowing that there may be different heats of chili powder. But it was so spicy, none of us could eat it. Ah, fond memories. Fond memories. And then Sunday, a blissful day off again. I'm hoping that there won't be any amount of admin, festival admin to do on Sunday, that after the craziness of Saturday, that maybe, Sunday I can relax a bit. And I found out about an interesting sounding vintage market that's going on in town, so I might drag Mrs. Stitches along to that. Hopefully get some footage of that one. And then we'll be into a new week. But I don't want to think any further than Sunday. I'm one of those people who doesn't like to think too far ahead or plan too far ahead. I do have my dreams, which sometimes seem very elusive and very unattainable, but I tend not to plan too far into the future. Live in the moment sort of gal. So I think this is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you are having a good week and doing lots of creative stuff. And I'll see you again really soon. Bye for now.